have a special treat this evening with our training by Ron Moss, K7ENE, and Gordon Black, W7GJB. Ron and Gordon, are you on this evening?
It's K7ENE, we are on.
W7GJB, I'm on.
Well, go ahead with this evening's training. I'm really looking forward to it.
We're going to turn it over to K7I. Turn it over to Steve, KB7ITU, to start us off. Go ahead, Steve.
This is KB7ITU. Starting again here, I'm sure you're all aware of my passion for emergency communications, both in voice and digital. As you know, we're trained to use the best form of communications at any given time. This means just because you're a radio amateur, this doesn't mean that you don't use cell phones or texting or even smoke signals if you have to. Whatever the best way is to get the message across. We should be as efficient as we can in getting that traffic passed in the most efficient way at any given time. In the early hours of a disaster, voice will most always be the front line of communications. We'll be helping establish EOCs, shelters, food services, and on and on. In most cases, we will be asked to support some, if not all of these services in one way or another. This support means not only by radio, we may be asked to get our hands dirty. We may be asked to do non-amateur services, such as grab a shovel or a bucket of water, a sandbag, or whatever else we're asked to do. We are not only communicators, we're service personnel, and maybe even service missionaries. One of the things we are not, again, I will say this again, one of the things we are not, and we've all heard this a million times, we are not decision makers. We do what we're asked when we're asked. We're blessed with a spiritual gift of being able to support our church priesthood leaders, our community leaders, our brothers and sisters in the community. We have been blessed to share that talent and gift to help support the Lord's work in Zion and support the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, without any further ado from me blabbering on and on, I'm gonna go ahead and at this time and I would like to introduce our amateur radio icons for the evening. We are privileged to hear from Gordon Black and Ron Moss this evening. These are two of our amateurs that know firsthand the true value of amateur radio in supporting our communities, our lives in a disaster situation. As they were the frontline communications during the Teton Dam disaster. W7GJB, Gordon, I'll turn that over to you, and Ron, if you'd like to take the mic first, I'll go ahead and stand by. This is KB7ITU, and thank you both for being here.
Gordon, what's your pleasure?
Well, why don't you go ahead and start and introduce how you got into it, and then I'll take it from there.
This is K7ENE. What's the time here? So I don't look over. Let me start that morning, that Saturday morning. Nina had gone to work with our older daughter in Rexburg at Viking Motel, and I was home working in the garden. I took our two youngest children and was headed into town to go to Mighty Mite to get some seed for our garden. And when I got to Mighty Mite, a gentleman come running out of the store saying that the dam had broke, and he had, you could tell by his face and motions and everything, something had really happened. So that was the first time I'd heard about it, anything about the Teton Dam breakage. At that point, several things come to my mind. What do we do now? I kind of want to have an idea what. I hope I'm on. I wanted an idea what really was going on up there. And by chance, I had my amateur radio equipment with me. I had a handheld in the pickup with me. And I got on there and turned it on, and there was a couple of hams at the airport in Idaho Falls. They were both ham operators, and I talked to them and said, could you come to Rexburg and pick me up and fly us over the Teton Dam? And they said yes. From there, my thought was, well, now, family, and this all happened with just moments. I thought, where's Nina and what they're doing, and how are we going to communicate? So I got back in the pickup, and on my way over to Gordon's place is when I actually made the contact with the airplane. And I got to Gordon's place and told him what had happened, and asked him if he wouldn't go to the courthouse and get our EOC and communications set up. And from there, I left Gordon, went and told Nina to go home, get things ready. I didn't know what was going to happen. And at that moment, I drove to the courthouse. When I got to the courthouse, we want an assembly. My next thing is, I hope everybody shows up. I hope the commissioners get here. I hope we have our staff. And when I got there, Camp Marler was walking in at the same time I was. And then we had our county commissioners, Keith Walker. He walked in, and then the other two commissioners came in, and Gordon was there setting up communications. At that point, I left, told the county commissioner, Chairman Walker, we had an airplane on the way to go take a look at what was going on, and told Gordon that we could keep communications. And so we headed to the airport. Now, Gordon, you might want to tell them what went on in the EOC after I left. Over.
Okay, Ron. W7GJB. Fine. Yeah, that's about the way it worked. I was taking down a fence in a doghouse when he came driving up in his pickup and told me what was going on. And I took my family and took them up to the physical plant, and there at the physical plant, I had a communication set up there of a big old Motorola boat anchor, and that boat anchor, I grabbed it, went down to the courthouse, and set it up on the table there, and all of the I don't know what you want to call them, like you say, the leaders, they were all there. And I then kept talking with you about your trip, and they would ask me questions, and I would turn it over to you to let them know what was going on as you were flying up that direction. And as a part of that, you said that you better get everything off of the lower part of town and head up on the hill there. I want to let this up and let it reset. And when you said that, why, all the commissioners and everything, they said, let's head for the the service area up there for the not the National Guard, but the Army Reserve. And so we went up to the Army Reserve building, and I had my radio in my car. I just left the old boat anchor there on the table. I had a TR-22C, which was running 5 watts. And I took that and went up on the hill there, had a mobile antenna, and I was still able to work the repeater up on Garnes Mountain. So working through that, I was able to keep in touch with Ron the whole time he was flying and going over the dam, and was able to let everyone know, that we were set up. We had communications. The police department was there, the fire department, several of the other first responders were up there, and they all wanted to know what was going on. So, Ron, you want to talk about the flight?
KB7 ITU.
Yeah.
Ron, before you start talking about the flight, you want to catch us up on the slides there, starting with the slides that's got the 2 arrows. I believe it showed where the EOC was at one time, or however you want to do that. But if you'd like to catch us up on the slides there a little bit, over.
Okay, this is K7ENE. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. Okay, let's, the first slide there, it says inside scoop radio emergency communications there in the Teton Dam. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What we're going to talk about here is the command center. So let's take a look at those two pictures. The upper one on the upper top right corner, that's looking down towards what would be towards Cal Ranch, down towards the courthouse. And the courthouse where that arrow is pointing is actually where the courthouse was located when the water get here. The lower one, you can see down, that's coming down from the college. You see the stoplight on the corner where Walgreens is. And then you go back up in there, and that's the courthouse that's right at the end of that arrow. You can see that was all underwater. And when Keith and I, the commissioner, chairman of the commissioner, as we flew over the dam, we didn't get all the way to the dam. We got as far as Wilford. I'm going to take a break. At Wilford, we seen that church, water going around the church there, and it imploded and floated away. It was gone. At that time, I called back and talked to Gordon. I said, Gordon, it's bad. Move the people. At that time, Gordon took over, and with the two commissioners was there, Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Klingler, and the other personnel he had there. They actually started the sirens running. He started the sirens going, started the moving the people up to 2nd South was our first move. On the way back from there, on the way we turned around and started back towards Rexburg, Keith and I were talking, and he says, we're not right sure 2nd South would be far enough. Let's move the people to 3rd South. And I radioed back to Gordon, and they moved them all up the hill. And that was all under the coordination with Gordon there, taking that communications. Then let's see, the next slide. You want to look at it. That's where Gordon actually moved. That's the command center. If you look at that, Gordon, you might take now and explain where you was located in there, the people that was around you, and talk about how you set up, made your first contacts, and also tell them about how you had the Man-Waring Center and up to the college radio station and the other networks, the backup systems. Over.
All right. I can go ahead and do that. On the next slide, you'll notice the reserve center, and there was a lot of military people around, as well as several of the local leaders that were there. And the state police came over, and they said, do you have contact or communications? And I said, yes. They said, well, we don't. The repeater we use is down. Apparently they overloaded it, and it shut down. So I told them, well, I can make contact with Idaho Falls and all those places. I gave out a call for all the amateurs in the area that happened to be on, and I had a paper and a pad there, and I started writing down all the call letters and established a communications right at that point. And let's see, from there, it just kind of blossomed into having a network set up that kind of evolved as I was visiting with Ron in the air as he was coming back, and as I talked with the commissioners and the civil defense people. They all said, well, this is what we've got to do. And like Steve said, I didn't do anything unless they asked me to or told me that I needed to. And I began to set up a network up and down the valley. Am I still on?
Yes, sir, you're still there.
Okay, I was getting some noise in the background here and I wasn't sure. Anyway, from there, it was really interesting because I had one guy show up with a 5-element beam on a little, I don't know, a pipe. We stuck it in the ground and I put it on my radio so I could work some other repeaters, and began to set up the contact with Idaho Falls and through Harrison Mountain to Salt Lake City. So I set those things up so I had them ready to go. And let's see, as a part of that, we began to be interested in the health and welfare. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the health and welfare part of communications, but once you get a network running, there are people that want to know if their families were okay. I was talking with a guy over in Jackson for just a few minutes, and he came back to me and he says, "Is your name Gordon Black?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, I'm talking to a guy in Farmington, New Mexico. Are you and your family all right?" And I said, "Yes, they're fine." He said, "Well, W5SB wanted to know." That was my father. And so immediately the word was out, and they began to set up networks on 80 meters and 40 meters to do health and welfare. And as a part of that, the station up on the top of the building at the Austin building for the Amateur Radio Club was being set up with handhelds to begin with because there was no power. And Nina, K7TTH, went over to the Manwaring Center, and she began to go through the list of those that had checked into the Manwaring Center. And as people would ask, has so-and-so shown up yet, Nina would look and see, and she'd either say yes or no, and then relay that to the Ricks College station. And the Ricks College station would then go on 40 or 80 and let the people know. And I would do the same thing over the repeaters. So it gave us an opportunity to let people know where they were and how they were doing and that kind of thing. If you go to the next slide, it shows the Manwaring Center and the helicopters that were all out over there. I had amateurs placed in each of the helicopters. One went to St. Anthony, and one went out onto the Wilford area and flew over it, and I got reports from there. Had a guy out on the Manan Butte. You look to the next slide, amateur radio in action. The next one shows that an amateur radio station was operating from the Idaho National Guard, or Armory, that was me. And we kept Madison and Fremont and other civil defense coordinators in contact with each other through Idaho Falls. And I had a amateur radio operator set up at the radio station at the KIGO. If you look at the next slide, I had set an amateur up there, and the owner of the station, John Haberly, he turned it entirely over to the amateur radio and gave updates and posts and so forth as I received them from different areas. The guy out on the R Mountain was giving me blow-by-blow of where the water was. And then there was another fellow that was out by Beaver Dick Park on the other side of the river. And he kept moving and moving because the water got higher and higher. So I got reports from there. And let's see, the next slide shows the course of the flood that impacted the amateur radio operators all over the valley that I had contact with. If I needed to get in contact with a certain point, I had the amateur radio call letters, the name, and where he was located. And I could call them. And they were very gracious to be available all the time. So if I needed help, I could contact them and let them know that we needed to have a report from different areas. You can see the arrow pointing towards the R Mountain where I had the one ham set up, amateur radio operator, set up. We've been asked not to be called hams. The next one shows the young man that was out on the farming area around by the river. The next slide shows the Army National Guard helicopters, and like I said, I had a ham radio operator in each one of the helicopters, and they let me know what was going on from there. And it was just 3 days, both day and night, of being on the radio and keeping the communications going. I think I've talked about long enough, Ron. Go ahead.
This is K7ENE. Okay. As you see there, and you go to the next one, the slides, you can see that we had paramedics set up at Sugar City and around. Now, as Gordon was talking, you get thinking about it. I was in the administrative side. When we needed any information at all, Gordon was next door there on the radio. We could go to him and ask for information. He would be able to get it through the communication system that he set up and get it back to us. He was able to make sure that it was correct, the information. We never, at any time, he always verified everything. When we got the information, it was good information. And that was very important to us. Like he said, when all communications went down, that was the only communications we had was amateur radio. And as Gordon talked, if you look at the redundancy that was in that setup that he set up, we had a primary there in the EOC. He had some health and welfare, and people scattered out on different frequencies. If the frequency got full, they'd go to another frequency. He had it hooked up to the college, up to the radio station up there. And I think they passed over 2,000 messages out of that health and welfare up at the radio station, at ham station there at the college. And that was under the direction of Tom Matthews. And Tom was sitting there, and he had people coming in, and they run that. If somebody'd get tired, he'd have them switch off and trade off, so that system was up and running all the time. I took a break there. And go to the next slide. You see several mobiles were assigned to Corps of Engineers, the city of Rexburg, and that's all coordinated out up there at that EOC where Gordon was sitting. Then go to slide number 9. It says, from time to time, amateur radio operators are required to repair malfunctional electrical gear, install antennas, and carry out various technical functions. And that was very critical. And I'm going to let Gordon talk about, we had some commercial people come in, set up their equipment behind the building, and take care of equipment. Go ahead and tell them how they did that, Gordon, K7ENE.
Right, Ron. K7ENE, W7GJB. Fine. Yeah, what do they call it? Teton Communications out of Idaho Falls. Barrel Lyman and a couple of others got together, and they brought up a truck loaded with repeater equipment and repair equipment, amateur equipment that needed to be used. And they set up an antenna on top of the building on number 9 there. Slide 9, you can see the vertical that they had set up. And it looks more like a flagpole, but it was just a big vertical. And number 10, you'll notice on the use of different parts of the Northwest. We had all the states, Washington, Montana, Oregon, Wyoming, Nevada, Utah, and of course Idaho, all involved in this very heavily. And we kept communications with all of them. Was able to work through several repeaters. Once Teton Communications got the repeater set up there, got the main station set up, then I was able to go ahead and turn it over to Barrel Lyman, and he coordinated it from there. And we began to coordinate people coming into town on the buses, and that we coordinated where the buses would be delivered for the people to help with the cleanup after the flood. So it was a big effort, but it all came together very nice. If I could make one extra comment here, Ron, it was interesting to note that once I put the call out on the air to the amateur radio operators, there were hams, amateur radio operators, that came on the air that I had not heard in a long time. And they were ready to go to work. They had their equipment up and going. So I'm going to turn this back over to Ron and let him talk about the lessons that we learned from equipment setup.
This is K7ENE. Okay, the next 5 section, you go into lessons learned. And this is kind of a short list of what we learned. And as we look there, it says lessons learned, recognize mistakes, observe what works, document, then we need to share them. So the first thing we thought of was we need to keep our equipment in good repair and ready to go. Make sure your equipment's in good repair. Do not rely on the existing communications such as telephone, cell phones, internet, and commercial power. Verify communications. Make sure it is true, accurate, and justified. And Gordon did an excellent job with that. Be prepared to work with other agencies. Now, as Gordon, we had like state police, we had the Forest Service in there, we had Fish and Game up there, state police, city police, county sheriff. All of those people were working out of that EOC. It says on the next one, don't overload repeaters with unnecessary traffic. Break. Then next, have radio equipment in different room in the EOC. We found out too much noise. The radios had to be put in a different place up at the reserve building so that they could carry on the communications they need. Not all agencies can communicate with each other. That's an ongoing thing. I think they've made headway since 50 years ago. You got to realize this was 50 years ago. Loss of communications, we had a complete loss of all communications except amateur radio at one time. And another thing, be prepared for influx of people. Break. It says keep emergency plans up to date, telephone numbers, new people, and so forth. In other words, keep your plans up to date. Another thing we found out on the county level, to be sure that you include religious leaders in your input for emergency plans. Then the last one is exercise emergency plans at least annually. Then the last slide there says thank you. We'll take questions at this time. We've gone quite a bit. So any questions, go ahead and direct them and see if Gordon or I can answer them.
Comment?
Go ahead, I didn't get the call.
This is K7ENE with a comment. I just wanted to thank you, too, for the examples that you've provided for us during the emergency and being able to provide us with some better understanding of what's going on. And again, I just want to thank you, too, for that. Really appreciate your efforts. This is K7ENE.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. I'm going to turn it back to Steve and let him take over from here. KB7ITU, K7ENE.
Thanks, Ron. I think we had another break in there. Who was the other break that was with Steve there? Go ahead. Okay, is there any other questions for Ron or Gordon before we turn it back to net control? All right, thank you. And then again, thanks to Ron and Gordon there. This has just been an exciting time for me. We don't realize when we check in once a week with no traffic and hang our mic up and throw the radio in the closet till next week, you know, we don't realize how important it is to be aware of our surroundings, and we don't know what's going on in other counties and other places unless we've got our radios on and monitoring a little bit from time to time. So I just encourage everybody to rethink your situation and not just turn the radio on during your nets, but pay attention to your surroundings and turn your radio on and listen from time to time, because I've had things happen in the evenings that I've had to respond to from up in Island Park and West Yellowstone and all that kind of thing, and I would have never heard that if I hadn't have been monitoring and listening to be able to help out. So thank you again, Gordon and Ron. I appreciate all you do, and we'll turn it back to net control. KB7ITU. Thanks, Bill.
Contact.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. A lot of people may not realize that this event was the genesis for a program called the Emergency Response Radio System, which was later renamed to Emergency Response Communications, or ERC. So it's interesting how this has evolved and where it's at today, NF7J.
Right, K7ENE.
Go ahead, Ron.
K7ENE, following up on that, after, I don't know, several weeks or maybe a month, there were people that come up from Salt Lake and talked with communications up on the campus. And I think it was Tom Matthews, and I think Gordon and I talked over that they actually met with Tom Matthews, and shortly after that's when the ERC programs and things started. So you can see where it started there with Gordon and everything he said I've got going. Back to that.
Break.
Go ahead, Break.
This is K7ENE again. I just want to make a comment that there's 98 people monitoring this net this evening since 9, K7ENE.
Thank you, Ron and Gordon, for some awesome training this evening. This is K7SE net control station for this ERC net. For the information of those on the net, the regional reports are as follows. Salmon had 6 check-ins with 6 on emergency power. The North region had 32 check-ins with 27 on emergency power. The South region had 16 check-ins with 16 on emergency power. The Rexburg region had 31 check-ins with 24 on emergency power. And the Rigby region had 28 check-ins with 25 on emergency power, for grand totals of 113 check-ins with 98 on emergency power. Is there any additional traffic or system business for the ERC net? I would like to thank everyone for your participation in this evening's net, especially to our guests this evening. The Emergency Response Communications net is now closed and all stations are released. This is K7SEE near Idaho Falls, Idaho. The frequency is now clear for normal communications.
K7ENE, W7GJB.
Go ahead, Gordon, K7ENE.
I think you did a great job. Sounded good. I think it was very well covered. And like you say, we could have gone on for another hour, but I think it was just exactly right. And there was a whole bunch of things that happened. But thanks, Ron. Appreciate you including me in this. Go ahead.
Well, I tell you, the thanks go to you, Gordon. All the work and time you put into it. I couldn't find the original plans that you gave me. You remember when you drew those up, how you had set up all the networks and the different frequencies and where they talked. I remember you brought that into the command post and handed it to me how you had it set up. And I can't find it. I had it here a year or two ago. I think it's in my records and stuff I've got down in Arizona, but I'm not sure. Did you keep a copy of that over?
I probably did, but I have no idea where it is. I wouldn't be able to put my hands on it right away. I'll look around and see. But yeah, I remember putting that all together and turning it over to you, and you said that was great and it could be used. And I thought, well, okay, go for it.
Thanks, Gordon. I hope everything went well. I hope it went across okay. Yeah. Well, it's been good to talk to you. It's been a good evening. It's brought back memories.
Yeah, it has. Both good and bad, all the way around. But thanks for your invitation and for all that you do, Ron. I appreciate it. As Civil Defense Director, you did a great job. I really felt inadequate when you asked me to be the Communications Director, but it worked out all right.
Well, to be honest with you, as I looked around in our community, I couldn't find any better qualified. Okay, thanks. And I don't know if Steve's on there. Steve, KB7ITU, still monitoring?
Yes, sir, still here.
What's your thoughts?
I think you guys did a great job. I would have liked to have heard more, and I know that we couldn't because of the time, but oh man, that was just really good. I really appreciated it, and it sparked the urge to push a little bit harder on myself and learn more and that kind of thing. Thank you guys. KB7ITU.
Contact.
And Kevin?
Yeah, for anybody that's still listening, if you want to hear more, there's a link on the website to a fireside that was done in 2017 by these great men. And so if you want to hear more, go listen to the audio for that fireside. It's right there on the homepage, NF7J.
Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Was you aware of that, Jordan?
Yeah, I knew it was in there. That's one of them that I was involved in with you and Kevin. And yeah, I remember that. I'll have to listen to it again and see if I can refresh my memory, but I do remember it. Go ahead.
Do you realize that 50 years ago I was 37 years old then, and I'm 87 now, almost 88?
Yeah, I was just a kid. I was only 30.
It took young people to take care of it. Okay, I'm not going to say any more here. I appreciate everybody, and thanks everybody, and thanks Kevin. And thanks, Steve, for those slides I sent to you to put them together, get it ready, and Kevin putting it on there.
K7SEE, KG7RBF.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment. I didn't know if I dared do it while I was doing the training, but I definitely remember that because my son was only a few days away from being born. But when I heard that, of course, at that time all I had was a CB radio. I went up on our expert bench and watched it with some binoculars, and I saw something that I never ever thought possible, and that was a brick home floating down Main Street, and it got to an intersection, and it just like somebody was driving it, it turned, and then started heading south down the other street. I wouldn't have believed it had I not saw it.
Yeah, well, I've heard of brick battleships too, but I guess that proves the point.
Roger. Well, thanks. I appreciate everything that was done tonight. It was excellent. Thank you. It's KG7RBF.
Well, good to have you on board, K7SE.
W7GJB, this is KF7HLQ.
Sure, go ahead.
Gordon, I was one of your students in that electronics department in the mid-'80s. It's good to hear your voice.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I've talked to a lot of them that were students of mine over the years, and many of them have got their amateur radio license and are involved now, and I think that's great. Was it KF7SLQ?
HLQ, Hotel Lima, Quebec.
Oh, okay. Good enough. Well, I'll have to get with you a little bit later on. Maybe we can reminisce a little bit.
That would be fun. I got to see Brother Crapo the other day, too, in Idaho Falls and talked to him a little bit, so that was fun.
Oh, wow. I haven't talked to Tom in a long time. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since I last saw him. So I'm glad you got a chance to visit with him. All right. Well, I've got to go out and cover my tomatoes for tonight.
Very good. Appreciate you talking to me. KF7HL2, clear.
W7GJB, clear.
W7GJB, K7ENE, if you've got just one more minute.
K7JXF, was it?
Roger, Roger. Scott Anderson, electronics student from the last semester before your retirement.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you, Scott. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you as well. Thank you for all you did in teaching myself and many other students, and I'll turn you loose to take care of your tomatoes. Thank you. KC7JXF.
Okay, Scott. Well, thanks for giving me a call, and I'll be monitoring. I monitor a lot. I'm kind of like Ron. I listen a lot, but I don't say anything unless I'm really needed.